Try to raise our children in a way that would have the fewest distractions, keep them focused on loving God and loving each other and loving others.
Well, we tease Aaron because Michael's and Alyssa are little, home economics ones. They love to cook, but Aaron cannot cook. We've all worn dresses. It's never hindered us from doing any activities or anything. We just felt like it was a distinction between male and female. It was more modest and wholesome and honoring to God.
It's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. You know what Bill Gothard really hates? He doesn't like rock music, but I prefer the guitarist because that's what my husband is. So I felt like this shirt would be a perfect shirt for this video because today we're going to talk about the Bates because they were abruptly canceled by UpTV in a move I was not expecting. I had been hoping for a very long time. I had been pushing for. I had been trying to educate people about the Bates and their involvement in the IBLP, and very abruptly, the UpTV network announced on the Bringing Up Bates Instagram and Facebook accounts that they were canceling the show. And the decision to cancel the show is it's odd because they had just announced that the season 11 was going to be debuting in February. They were still promoting the show actively. It was their highest rated show. And for some reason, they decided right now to change directions and they're no longer going to have reality television on there. And apparently it's going to be movies and scripted shows. Let's talk about what UpTV said. And then I had the opportunity to speak to an insider, like an industry insider with connections to UpTV to get an understanding of what could have been going on in the back end of things. And I want to talk with you about what they told me about what they believe happened and how this is all intertwined with Gil Bates's connection to the IBLP and some very awful things that have been coming out about the Bates and some postings that ended up on social media that were not favorable to the Bates at all and comments they made that were very just not kind. First, let's address what UpTV said in their statement about the cancellation. We will not be premiering Bringing Up Bates Season 11 on UpTV as planned, as we will be focusing our programming in 2022 on movies and a new scripted series to be announced soon. When we premiered Bringing Up Bates, the series was focused on parents with 19 kids who were teenagers and young children. The cameras were there to capture the love, laughs, and big life moments as the family continued to grow. Thank you to Gil and Kelly Jo Bates for welcoming viewers into your family's home over the past 10 seasons. Thank you to the fans who turned in every Thursday night to be part of the journey. We're looking forward to continuing to uplift you with our programming in the future. The decision not to launch this was really bizarre because in September, UpTV came out and they basically were super excited to announce that season 11 had been renewed. When they dropped when they released their announcement about the new season, they basically said that the episodes would be premiering on February 10th at 9 o'clock, 8 p.m. Central. And the VP of Content Strategy and Programming for UpTV said this: Bringing Up Bates continues to outperform its prior seasons in ratings because the Bates are beloved by our viewers and fans who watch the series. We engage with the family on social media. We repeatedly hear from viewers how much they appreciate the Bates family and that they look forward to spending time with them, with their favorite large family each week for an entertaining, uplifting, safe haven on television. So the show has been produced by the exact same network that did Counting On, which is Figure 8 Films. Bill Hayes, Kirk Streb, Deanie Welcher, and Mary Wilcher were all executive producers of the show, and then Matthew Hightower was the executive producer, and then Aaron Stockey is a producer. So the same company that put on Counting On was involved with Bringing Up Bates. And so the interesting thing here is, though, they were calling it an outperforming show, that it was a safe haven for people on network TV. And suddenly and abruptly, they're going to shift gears and do more movies. So I had the opportunity to speak to someone who formerly has connections to UpTV to get a better understanding of what is going on with the network and why they might be changing directions. So what I was told by my source is that a couple years ago, UpTV was actually purchased by a new set of owners who at the time made the decision that they wanted to shift gears with the network and move more towards movies. However, that hadn't stopped them from including the Bates simply because the Bates were such a powerhouse and made the network a decent amount of money. The Bates show had a pretty decent sized budget for the network, although UpTV is a very small network by comparison to other networks on TV, nothing like, say, TLC. So the goal had been for a while to move to the movie structure, according to my source. However, I was also told that they had been they were like full steam ahead with this season. So what my source said was the full season 11 had actually been filmed. They were in the middle of couch interviews, my source said, and production abruptly halted. So they were interviewing the cast of the show to rewatch the episodes and then react to what they were watching and just sort of give their takes on what they were seeing from what was filmed. And it stopped at that point, which happened apparently at some point in December. Interesting, right? So they had spent quite a bit of money filming, including they had filmed Nathan and Esther's wedding. They had also filmed Katie's wedding. They had taken Lawson and Tiffany to Paris, where he proposed to her. So they had spent a lot of money putting production out for the show in anticipation of this upcoming season. So to have them completely stop after investing the amount of money that they had, my source thought that was very odd. So basically what they told me is that the network speak is going to be that they're moving directions in regards to new formats. That's what the network's going to say. That's what anyone around them is going to say. They're not going to deviate from that script. But what my source alleges is that the truth is that the Bates became too controversial for the network. That's their belief. So once Josh Duggar was convicted, there was a huge onslaught of negative press that came out about the IBLP. And the Bates are extremely connected to the IBLP because Gil Bates is a board member. And while Josh Duggar's trial was going on, there was text messages that Josh had sent to Evan Stewart, Carlin's husband, Carlin Bates, about a car that they were looking at. So at the time that Josh had been downloading content, he was also sending text messages to Evan Stewart, letting him know that they had a car on the lot that they might want to buy. So Carlin's name got brought up at trial, which again is the connection, it's a controversial connection. It doesn't imply that she's at all a part of what Josh did. It just again solidifies this tie that they have to the Duggars. On top of that, all of this press comes out about the IBLP, and then Amazon announces a docuseries which is going to explore the ties of the largest families on television and their ties to the IBLP and how they got on TV and why they're on TV and the controversy around this organization and all of the different horrible aspects of the IBLP. And the Duggars are huge IBLPers. They're the largest family name in the organization, but Gil is one of 3 board members of this organization. So more and more negative press has been coming out about the IBLP, which is controversy that some advertisers might not want to deal with. So the way that my source explained it is that when you're doing ad revenue for a show, you're going to be looking at your competitors, and you're going to be seeing what your competitors, who's advertising on their shows. And you as a person trying to pitch to get someone to advertise with you might look at your competitors and say, your Bates family is connected to this company, and did you know that Heinz Ketchup or whatever it is advertising on a show that's basically recruiting for a cult? Did you know that? So it could maybe spook advertisers, is what my source said. There was another aspect here outside of the IBLP that they said could have played a very large role and contributed to what happened here as well. And that was that in November, Carlin posted a story on her Instagram. And in the story, her brothers and her were playing charades and UpTV was filming. And Mr. Lawson had done a charades where he was pretending to be a deer hunter, and his little brother was on the floor pretending to be a deer. So the term was hunting, that he was acting out. But one of his brothers thought it was funny, and they yelled out George Floyd.
Deer hunting.
Oh. He got it.
George Floyd. Deer hunting.
He got it.
George Floyd. Penis shooting.
Deer hunting.
Yay! I got it.
Good day. He's on our team.
He won.
You just pick your own.
That was so easy. Why didn't you give him something harder?
Well, you could have thought of something. Where was him the Christmas tree?
And obviously, we know George Floyd, and it's nothing to joke about. It's not funny. And immediately, people noticed it. It started getting it made headway because Carlin posted this on a story. She made it seem like it was all in family fun, and the racial undertones of mocking what happened to George Floyd made huge waves on the internet. And that then circulated all across the board. It was on Reddit. I posted it. A lot of other places posted it, and they refused to address it. Miss Carlin deleted it, and she basically just said, "Oh, I don't endorse that." The Bates never acted like nothing happened. Well, my source says that apparently that video and their response and the joke made it back to the people at UpTV, who has a large employer. They have a lot of employees that are African American. The way that I was explained how UpTV started was that it was a Southern gospel channel. So it really sort of, in the very beginning stages of this network, featured gospel artists, and they got deeply rooted in the Southern African American gospel churches. And so as a result, they had a very large number of employees that were African American. They had connections, and they did projects with Magic Johnson. So they also had a large base and following and viewership of African Americans. And so because of that, this video seemed to my source says, upset people at the office who were really hurt by what happened and wanted the show off the air at that point. So they claim that was one of the contributing factors. Another issue they said was that there's just so much out there now with Gil Bates's sermons, and how just he's not who he appears to be on TV. His sermons are very misogynistic and homophobic, and he's xenophobic. It's not, if you're trying to promote a family that has no controversy or a family that is safe, the way that he speaks in his sermons is not safe. It's a population that's not white and, male, basically. So that could have been another contributing aspect. But if you compile it all together, they think that what ultimately happened is they just became too much of a liability. And apparently they said that the new owner does not like controversy at all, doesn't want to have anything on the books that's controversial that could get them at all in trouble, and they really want to build this network in a completely separate direction. So it seemed like a good time for them to cut ties. And so the plan now is that the show will never air. It's not going to air on UpTV. They will still maintain the show on their streaming network, I was told. So UpTV will show seasons 1 through 10. You can buy their package, their streaming app. And season 11 will never air, like literally never air. And they were airing, they filmed the George Floyd incident. So I don't know, how do you even ignore that part, knowing that it's out there and that they were filming? That could be another reason. But I think they think the George Floyd incident was one of the biggest catalysts here. Even though it happened in November, it maybe took them a bit of time to respond. But then add in the Josh Duggar conviction, add in Amazon, now starting to look at the IBLP, add in that Gil's on the IBLP, add it that only a week ago Gil was promoting the IBLP and a speaker that is featured prominently at the IBLP on their Instagram. The Bates are done. They're not going to, according to my source, say anything about why actually happened. They're not going to ever reveal the truth. And unfortunately, all I can say is this is what my source says, and it's all alleged. So the Bates did give a statement to people, And this is what the Bates had to say about the cancellation. They said, as the next year begins, our family will be experiencing a lot of new changes. One of the biggest changes for us is that the network will be moving forward, producing more scripted family shows, and will not be renewing a contract to film new Bringing Up Bates episodes. We realize God's timing is always perfect. We look forward to what the future holds for our family as well as the network. The last 10 seasons of filming with Bringing Up Bates has been an amazing journey for our family. We never expected to or aspired to be on TV, but we are forever grateful to UpTV for all of the friendships we have formed as a result. Filming and opening up our home has been both rewarding and challenging. There are not enough words that we could say to show our appreciation for the amazing film crew and all of the staff who have been invested so much time into making the show possible. They have become like family and have impacted us forever. We are also grateful for all the encouragement we have received over the years from those who have watched the show and have reached out to message us and pray for us. Most of all, we are thankful to God for the experiences we've shared together as a family and for the lessons that we've learned along the way. We feel very blessed to have those memories. We look forward to the next chapter of life unfolding before us with lots of adventures, and we promise to keep you updated on our lives in the days ahead and pray that God will richly bless each of you. Our greatest desire is that we would each strive to learn more about God and to grow in His grace. A pretty canned response from the Bates. They're still under contract, even though they're not being renewed. They can't really be like, I'm so mad. You know what I mean? They still have to like toe the company line. So that's kind of what's going on. They are just grateful for their time on TV. So no more IBLP families out on the internet right now. Well, there's no more big IBLP families in reality TV at this point. The next family that could end up getting in trouble or there could be pushback on now will be the Plaths, because even though the Plaths are not a part of the IBLP, they ascribe to many of the same beliefs. They have a lot of the same toxicness that's associated with what Josh Duggar was involved in, because a lot of the guys in this subset of world, or the quiverful world, end up like Josh, sadly. And the just blatant disregard for children's education and the overall just lack of parenting that's positive in these families is horrible. So I wouldn't be surprised if pressure starts getting applied to Welcome to Plathville as well. So with Amazon's like microscope on this group and how they've infiltrated the reality TV industry, I think there's going to be a panic in the industry of a lot of networks going to try to cut ties and distance themselves from this, because I imagine that what comes out with Amazon is not going to be good for them. That's what I have for now. What are your thoughts about the show ending? Are you happy? I know for the survivors that have wanted Bates off the TV for years, they're grateful. I saw so many comments of people finally being just so glad that they're finally off TV. But I want to know what your thoughts are. Tell me in the comments below. Bye, guys.